We both walked in the field and said there's some up here. That was a good 16 or 18 inches deep.
down. So the dais was on song that day.
Yeah.
We knew what to do. It was just the shock of finding something you've been looking for 40 years. So we looked to get...
In total, there was 6,500 coins. We're just going to get some water to hopefully loosen it up a bit more because we don't want to break it.
In this particular day, I don't think the weather was particularly brilliant on the day, was it? It wasn't raining, but it looked like it was going to absolutely bucket down. We decided that we were going to call it a day. And as you know, things always turn out.
Yeah, it was about 12:30, wasn't it? We were like, oh, we'll call it a day now.
I was walking back to the car and I got a very good signal on the dais, which was almost a perfect signal. Started digging down and found a very large piece of Roman pottery. So I got so far down and encountered a lot of stone and my back was in half. So I called Mark over and said, look, give me a hand, let's get this out.
There's some under this piece of pot.
Yeah.
And so I started going, and what turned out to be not under the pot, but inside the pot, wasn't it? Because I started to expose the pot edge to lift it out the way, and just kept going, and it just become, this big. And then we exposed the rim, which had a plug in it still. It was stuck in a clay layer in the ground. We obviously, when we exposed the pot, and the signal with the pinpointer was obviously coming from inside there, we got a bit slightly excited at that point.
Yeah, I think Mark did come up with some expletive about that I ruined detecting by finding what we thought was a hoard. We knew what to do. It was just the shock of finding something you've been looking for 40 years.
But I mean, we obviously tried to contact our Flo, the Finds Liaison Officer, but nobody had his phone number. I went through all my contacts on my phone, all my detectoring friends. I messaged them, I texted them. Bank holiday weekend, nobody's got his number. Luckily for us, Mark's cousin is an archaeologist, so we spoke to him, and we'd exposed the pot at this time. It was obviously a pot. And from around the edge of the pot, we'd recovered probably 25 loose bronze Roman nummi. And we discussed it, and there was no way that we could fill this hole back in without damaging the pot. Because we'd exposed it, at that stage, it was like, well, we've got to get it out. We can't fill it back in, because there was too many rocks and what have you. So I phoned the landowner, the farmer. They came along and they just wanted to see what was in it. But so we decided we had to lift it. So it was stuck in the clay. So we got some water and poured around it, and then I just teased it out and we got it out whole. It came out whole out of the ground. We could see the bottom of another pot in the same hole. We put 4 knee pads around it.
You put it in a bucket.
And we put it in a plastic bag, tied that up to keep the knee pads on it, and then we put that in a bucket and wedged it in your car, didn't we?
Yeah, and then it lived in my shed for a week, just so it didn't dry out. Found the boar, was that?
We found
a Roman boar, which was found out in the middle of the pasture, which dates to 50 BC to 100 AD.
That was a good 16 or 18 inches deep.
Down. So the dais was on song that day.
Yeah.
It's a bit difficult because we knew there was at least one other pot, and obviously we had to fill the hole in, leave it.
Knowing there's still more coins down in the ground.
Still more coins in there.
It was a week later, really, wasn't it? A week to the day that we came up. Everybody met on site, and we extracted the rest of the hoard. Yeah, it was quite difficult to recover the hoard because of the layers of rubble.
There is an area which shows that there's been a burn-in, and we found quite a lot of slag, haven't we? So it suggests there is something going on there.
A lot of the soil is brown, but in one particular trench, which is probably producing the majority of the Roman pottery, it is black. The soil is black from burning. You know, it's obviously, I mean, and the trench is 5 meters by 2 meters wide, and there's been 4 buckets that round and that deep, or 3 buckets full of
with all
pottery.
sorts of different ware, from beakers to plates to jugs to you name it, they were making it up here.
So we think that would explain the hoard being buried here. It was a possible kiln site, so people manufacturing pottery, selling it, and the money coming in from that. Until we came up here and found any coins, this site was unheard of. There was no record of anything happening historically on this site until we found it. So in one of the trenches, they've excavated a wall which is quite, you know, it's 900 mil wide or wider, which would, you know, be in keeping with a 2-story building.
Yeah, this isn't a full-scale dig.
No,
This
this
is
is just an evaluation.
This is an evaluation by putting in test pits to see what comes up. We were asked if we didn't mind whether there was a little bit of filming, which we said yes to, only to find out it was a Channel 4 production, which then spiralled into something which was rather crazy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was mad.
Over the sort of preceding
But it did
weeks
give us
and
some
months.
opportunities to go to the British Museum.
Yeah, that was
and
very
actually see behind the scenes at the British Museum,
Yeah.
which was, well, I'm so glad that we did the filming to enable us to get behind the scenes and see the work that they do.
Yeah.
I mean, in total, there was 6,500 coins. There was
Probably
in the
a few
pot.
more,
In the
wasn't
pot I originally lifted first time, there was 1,800, was it?
Yeah.
1,800 coins. In the smashed up pot, which had been
It's
hit
about
by the plough, there was
400.
400 and something. And there was a larger pot, which was about the size of a rugby ball,
Yeah.
which was cracked quite badly.
And that had
That
in
had
excess
three,
of 4,000.
yeah,
wasn't
3,500, 4,000 coins in
Yeah.
it. So in total, there was 6,500 coins.
it? So effectively, the flow turns up anyway. It's excavated, filmed. He takes it up to the British Museum, and then obviously the process has begun
Yeah.
on the back of that.
So
Albeit that was where we left the hoard, and then the film company wanted to do a follow-up to it, and cut a long story short, there's a programme out shortly called The Great British History Hunters, and our story makes up one part of it. Yeah, I had a very good relationship with the archaeologists and the especially the finds liaison officer. He's been good as gold. He's kept us in the loop, so yeah, it's been fine, hasn't it?
a lot of people, a lot of detectorists are not too keen on finds liaison officers, but in my experience and in yours, as far as I'm concerned, our finds liaison officer has been
excellent.
brilliant. He's been really good, really positive. Any information I want, he'll give me. So, thumbs up. If you find anything, report it to your flow. You will get it back. I've heard some really bad stories that you hand things over and you never see them again. Nothing like that.
It might take a little bit of time to get it back,
Yeah.
because obviously there are queues and heavy workloads, but you will get it back. I mean, I've sent individual coins and bits and pieces, and they do come back, and you get a very nice report that you wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah.
So it's been a crazy journey, and it seems to be going on and on. From obviously finding the hoard through to going up to the British Museum and
now
the
the
filming and
the excavations, the geophys work, now the excavations that are going on. I'm sure.
But the story's getting bigger, isn't it? It's a much bigger story than the one that we originally set out on, and you know
we both walked in the field and said there's some up here.
Yeah. And
Little did we know it was going to be quite this much.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you know, we're going to have some exciting news in the
near
not too
future.
distant future.
I'm sure of it. Let's go detect it.